Well, this is the Diwali special on Startup Central, and we've got two very special guests with us. I'm now joined by the founder CEO of Cred, Kunal Shah, as well as the CEO of Myntra, Amar. Thanks, guys, for joining us here on this Diwali special. A happy Diwali to both of you and both your teams. It's a COVID-19 Diwali, but it's looking like it's turned out to be one with firecrackers when it comes to the shopping and the consumption patterns. I'll come to you first, Amar. You had promised that you will never see better deals than you will this year on Myntra. Was that indeed the case? Did your customers believe that? And did you see perhaps better numbers, better sales than you had anticipated?
Thanks, Myntra, for having me on the show. It's been a phenomenal season for us. The validation we got from the customers is a good indication of how good these deals were that were offered to them by all the brand partners we work with. In fact, on the platform, we've seen over 100% growth in almost every metric we track. It's been a phenomenal season. In terms of our geo penetrations as well, it's actually blew our expectations out of the sky. I mean, we are growing stronger in tier 2, tier 3. Much faster and much deeper than we ever thought we would do in 2020. It's almost like the 3 years growth has been accelerated for us. So yeah, couldn't have asked for a better festive season.
In fact, that seems to be the big theme of this festive season, the COVID-19 festive season. You've seen penetration of the internet, tier 2, tier 3 cities adding to the growth. And that's not the story just on the startup street, but even the likes of Unilevers of this world are talking about it. Kunal Shah, let me come to you now. I must say, dazzled us all with that ad campaign for the IPL. You took a big gamble with the IPL. First up, I want to know, did your favorite team win? And how big a success is IPL for you?
Nandra, first of all, thank you for having me. IPL has been great for us. We got very fortunate by getting the right attention, both from the sponsorship as well as the ads, and all the discussions that happened around the campaign, like, dislike, like they say, there is opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So we were fortunate to not get indifference about our ads. Everybody discussed about it, and it created an interesting conversation at home for a lot of people, because they saw all these stars and all these youngsters were kind of constantly discussing that, why is this funny? What are they trying to say? And a lot of times keeping that thing to let people think a little bit more created an interesting version. In terms of the overall campaign, super happy. I was supposed to be in Dubai for the finals. I chose to kind of not do that and let the team go there and have fun. All the team members who worked on the campaign. I don't have a favorite team. I'm not keeping up with cricket these days, but hopefully it was a good game.
I want to ask you though, and it's something I thought about every time I saw one of those stars in the ad campaign, and one has to say they were very sporting, from Madhuri Dixit to Anil Kapoor and to everyone that you had. Was it difficult to convince them? Because they were kind of mocking themselves as well, and that was what was really nice, the 1990s kind of advertisements that we had seen.
I think, Nandra, what I have noticed about class is that class is very secure, right? It does not get shaken by making jokes on themselves. And I think that's what we saw. These stars are timeless in many, many ways, right? And therefore we could relate to it and have fun with this. And even if it's a joke on themselves, I think these guys can pull it off quite well. I think we were amazed at how they participated and improved the thing script further, and they added that extra lines and did a lot of that with the fun with that. And all of this during COVID was super hard to kind of pull off, get all the shoots done at the same time. But we were very fortunate to have a list of celebrities who were extremely generous with their time, their effort, and like I said, their spirit in doing this.
How are everybody going to find the next 500 million internet users? And it's not just about finding the next 500 million internet users. You've also got to make sure that they spend money and make it worth the while of companies like yourselves. So Amar, is that the next big challenge before all of you consumer internet companies, to expand the market?
No, absolutely, Nayanthara. That's always the path that we are chasing. But if you look at the fashion space, and if you look at the segments in which we operate, which is a premium kind of segment, these users already exist today, both online and offline. I mean, these are the users who are buying high ASP items like iPhones, TVs, refrigerators online. But when it comes to fashion, they are still offline. So that's where our initiatives are going to be. That's where our investments are going to be. In fact, what has happened during pandemic is more and more people got exposure to buying fashion online. And we would like to believe we did a decent job of holding them back, retaining them back, and which is the reason why we see a continued action happening on the platform ever since we started operating from Unlock 1.0. What we need to do on top of this, what pandemic gave us, is to make this experience in line with the consumer's expectations when it comes to offline. And that's the reason why one of the biggest investments we made during this season is the Omni investment. We believe there is a new normalcy setting in when it comes to shopping, which is this Omni way of shopping. The user doesn't really care if the consumer doesn't care if they're buying online or offline. They want the best at the best value.
Of the space that you are in, not only do you need to expand the market, you've got to make sure that they continue to use the credit card, not give that in for, whether it's the UPI or whatever it is, and stay online and with premiumization.
I think the question around credit cards and anything to do with that is kind of showing with data, right? So you can see that the credit card spends have fully recovered actually from June, July timeframe from pre-COVID levels, and actually they are all-time high now. And the consumption story for the affluent will continue to happen because they have literally no impact for the COVID thing. Their income stayed, their job stayed. The worry I do have is for the rest of the country. We keep talking about 500 million customers, but the country's per capita income is $2,000, right? And if you remove the top 20 million families, the per capita income probably drops to $700, $800. And that is not an income where people are going to engage in consumption beyond the basic necessities, right? One data point that came out recently that Bangladesh crossed us on per capita income. And people are often forgetting that is largely because of 68% of urban female population in Bangladesh is working versus that number is growing lower in India. It's lower than 8% now. And I think we are kind of imagining the per capita income will grow when one gender is just not contributing to the labor force for various reasons. Now, the point is, will this create the next 500 million customers? I have my serious doubts on that because we have already solved data with Geo coming in. We have already solved payments with UPI coming in. We have all sorts of rails built in. We have figured out deliveries across all pin codes in this country. The question is, where is the income? And I think that is going to be a big question that all companies will have to ask themselves, that is the market large enough? And our focus remained on 25 million customers, which currently hold a card, which addresses around 70% or 80% of all discretionary spends that happen in this country. But the point is that beyond that, all of us will have to think that how do we kind of grow there. But for us, we are very happy with this scale because with this scale, you can achieve a very large business as long as you are really sure that you're going to focus on that. I think many companies have confused themselves that are they 500 million or they 50 million customers companies. And I think you really cannot be both.
Do you want to share the numbers with our viewers? Because it is quite amazing how in such a short time you have amassed such a large market.
When you made that comment on how big we are, I was going to answer that I've lost 6 kilos as well. But that being said, the scale is, we've been very fortunate of being the largest player in credit card bill payments and focusing on credit card as an ecosystem. I think it's too early to kind of give out specific numbers, and maybe in due course we will announce that. But we've seen significant growth. We've probably seen our new user growth kind of probably go up by 5 to 6x than it was before IPL. So I think super early to kind of talk about numbers. I mean, don't want to comment on the UPI numbers that have been published, but I would say we are getting there.
Okay, so let me take you through the numbers. In 2 years, you've grown to a community of what, about 3 million members. 35% of them access Cred at least 3 times a month. And you're seeing business and transactions worth about $1 billion on Cred every month?
Yeah, I mean, we've grown since those numbers. So we've not kind of announced some of the newer metrics, but the engagement actually went up. We see now consumers coming to the app probably 8 to 9 times a month now. And that number has kind of only been growing as we are adding more categories of businesses on the platform. Recently, we launched a store platform that you were earlier mentioning, specifically focused on D2C. And that has seen some very strong traction. We are still maybe listed 100, 200 SKUs so far. We have not kind of gone to scale, but the curation and discovery is kind of creating many interesting early consumption, new version of consumption kind of keeping in, where people do not really come with an intent to purchase something, but end up kind of picking up stuff because it's cool and they discover something new that people are buying.
Amar, let me come to you now. Do you want to share with us the kind of traffic that you saw or have seen so far in the festive season? It's not completely over as yet.
It's not over, but I can share a few numbers. During the 6-day event that we did, in fact, 7 days, including the early access event as well, we acquired more than 1 million customers and almost half of them came from tier 2, tier 3. But what's more encouraging for us is 3 out of 5 women who came on board came from tier 2, tier 3. That's the biggest shift we have seen. I mean, we've been seen as a fashion platform, especially in tier 2, tier 3, where we had a lot of ground to cover in the past. In terms of the concurrent users, and this is something we are really, really proud of. On the day when we opened up the sale, we had close to 800,000 users at the same time on the platform waiting for us to open the sale. And this is by far the biggest spike any fashion platform has ever seen. So that's just on the event. But if you look, if I take a step back and see how big Myntra has become, there are 2 metrics. I'll introduce 2 metrics. I'm sure most of our viewers know this, but I'll still go explain this. The 2 metrics that we always look at as an e-commerce platform is daily active users and monthly active users. And for a very long time, the daily active users over monthly active users metric, which is a metric which is not very encouraging for e-commerce platform because not a lot of users come back to platform every day. This measure is a proxy of how many users are coming to your platform every day. In fact, the social platforms enjoy this very, very well because people go to WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram almost every day. Whereas for an e-commerce platform, unless you have an intent, you don't go to the platform every day. But for the first time, as an e-commerce platform, we are inching towards social platforms. And that is because of the investments we made on the platform with respect to content, with respect to the influencers we got on board. Today, more and more people come to Myntra, not just to shop, but to actually figure out or learn or how to do stuff.
Now, gentlemen, we did promote that we're getting both of you here on this special edition of the Startup Central Diwali episode. We also reached out to others in the community to try and brainstorm and increase the level of the conversation that we're going to have over here. And here's the first person who's got a question for both of you. Here he is.
Although India has over 500 million very active internet users, today only about 80 million of them buy online. We've seen that number accelerate. In fact, both the number of buyers, but more importantly, I think the number of frequent buyers has increased thanks to COVID. And we have about 150 million that use digital payments today, mostly UPI and then some wallets. So the question I have is, what would it take for the 80 million number, so the 80 million users who actually buy products online in India today to get to 200 million, let's say over the next 15, 16 months. So by end of 2021, if we want to have 200 million buyers in India of products, number one, is that possible? And number two, what would it take? Would love to get your thoughts on this.
Increase of income. People do not need to be told that they need to buy stuff. They always buy stuff. The question is that do they have the money to buy stuff? Consumption of many categories, while we claim 80 million users, we probably have 30, 40 million that frequently buy. And to break from that number, we need significantly higher income levels for them to kind of come into, and I don't see it as an 18, 20 months phenomena. We may see a lot of trials, but for frequent buying, the necessary condition is income.
Amar, so Kunal is saying that unless your income goes up, discretionary spend goes up, you're not going to find, those users on the internet, which will also be worth your while, right? What are your thoughts on this? What would you say to Rajan Anandan?
The macroeconomic situation of the country also has to change for more and more shoppers to shop. It's not about online or offline shopping, for users to shop. But when it comes to online shopping, I'm very, very optimistic about the kind of growth online is going to see, primarily because if you look at the last 10 years, the infrastructure that was required for e-commerce platforms to take off kind of happened parallelly to when e-commerce industry was growing. Our internet infrastructure, our digital payment infrastructure, our supply chain infrastructure. Today, we are actually at a point where we have a very reliable and very scalable platforms available in all these three segments. And as a retailer now, as an e-commerce player, what we are doing right now is working with this kind of data, this kind of consumer base, and working closely with the partners to bring the best value for money. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're trying to bring the relevant selection at a better value for money, which we believe will accelerate this growth online on top of the infrastructural goodness that's been created in this country in last 10 years. So I'm really optimistic about the next 18 months to 2 years.
But I'm treating both of you like the gurus that I have today on this Diwali Pathshala. And it brings me now to the next person who wanted to ask both of you a question. The next guest actually became a unicorn during the pandemic. Here's the next question for both of you.
Hi, this is Harshil, co-founder and CEO of Razorpay. My question to the panelists is, as we go downstream to the next billion users, we've seen that the way they use internet is significantly different from the traditional users. Instead of Google, for example, they search things on YouTube. Instead of X, they prefer voice-based communication. So given all of that, do you think the current generation of internet companies, and whether it's in e-commerce, food tech, or even fintech for that matter, are they suited to serve the needs of the next 500 million users that's going to come online? Or do you think some new platforms will have to emerge?
So that's Harshil Mathur, the co-founder and CEO of Razorpay. Like I said, Razorpay did become a unicorn during the pandemic. Kunal, I'll come to you first. It's a very interesting observation he's making that all of us are now consuming differently on the internet. What was valid a few years ago isn't, and that's always going to be the case. How conscious are you of that? And like to Harshil's point, are you seeing the emergence of these platforms?
I think it's a very good question. What you will notice is that the norms that they follow are not influenced through Western behavior, right? So a lot of us in the top 30, 40 million consumers are influenced by Western peers on how we consume content, consume products, and so on and so forth. The next 500 million customers are probably going to shop on WhatsApp, and it's not even an imaginary possibility. I think it probably happen in 12 to 18 months. And I don't think many companies are prepared for that. There's a one interesting phenomenon that is going to happen is something I call as sachet commerce, right? Consumers spending small value stuff to buy interesting stuff on WhatsApp or Instagram, or 50, 100 rupees because their per capita income is not there, but they have the snacky income to kind of go and do some micro transactions. And I think many platforms have not created themselves toward the 50, 100 rupees mark. And I think therefore you see platforms like MPL, Dream11 have actually become quite interesting in terms of getting to the next 100 million customers already by fundamentally kind of changing the ticket size as well as the mediums through which they engage these customers. And the final thought on the lines between social media and commerce will blur, definitely for 500 million customers.
This is a festive week in which WhatsApp has said that the shopping button is live. The WhatsApp Pay is going live. You've got Kunal now talking about Sachet commerce. What does that mean for someone like Myntra?
Well, actually, let me take a step back on this. This change that we are talking about that might happen, or which I believe is already happening, it hasn't been new to e-commerce. I mean, 10 years ago when Flipkart started, the early adopters of e-commerce were more mimicking the Western behavior. And 5 years into the journey, we were one of the first countries probably in the world to go mobile first or mobile commerce more than any other country. And there were players which quickly adapted to it. And those are the players which still are ruling the market.
Yeah.
So these changes are still happening as we speak. And I agree completely with Kunal. I mean, these are the users whose behaviors will be different from the way we have experienced the users so far. I like the word sachet commerce. And that's exactly what we are also doing in the world of fashion. What we're doing with the brands today, we are working with the brands to create special merchandising units. These are SMUs which are very, very local and regional to the markets. We are no longer carrying the same catalog, same inventory across the country. We are working with the brands to make it more relevant to somebody in Tamil Nadu versus somebody in Rajasthan to versus somebody in Kolkata. And the other thing that will happen, which we are also preparing ourselves for, is the social commerce. I agree that the lines will be blurred between social and the commerce. And the main reason why the social and commerce are coming together is because this is the next set of users who want validation for their purchase. We chose to go with influencers because these are like the boy next door or the girl next door, but who happen to use the product just before you and who can give you very authentic review on the product, which is what's helping our users, which is also the reason why there's a lot of increased engagement on the platform. And the third thing that will happen in the world of commerce, to make the unit economics work, going back to the sachet commerce thing, it has to be hyper-local. It cannot follow the traditional e-commerce way of supply chain. And that's also where our omni investments are happening. So to your question, Nayanthara, as a fashion platform, we are relooking at our consumer base and we are actually reimagining the way we do business in terms of our selection, in terms of experience, and in terms of delivery. So that's pretty much how we're preparing for this.
So before I go on, I want to very quickly, before we run out of time as well, because there are many more questions as well. Will WhatsApp therefore become the only super app looking like at the moment, where I will go on WhatsApp to transfer money to friends, WhatsApp to shop, WhatsApp to pay my credit card bills? Kunal?
It's hard to imagine what will happen, but what will WhatsApp play a big role in times to come? The answer is yes. What would users prefer to do and not do on that will be something that we will see with time. But for example, we already allow WhatsApp payments as a payment option on Cred, and we have allowed that even much before they got the permission to go to 20 million. We already allowed that probably even a year before they got to million customers first. And my view is it will become another version of internet in many ways that we all will have to adapt and be participating. Just the way we participate on app stores, we will have to have a WhatsApp strategy.
Amar, will Myntra have to also rest on WhatsApp?
Well, the way I see
you have to have a WhatsApp catalog?
The way I see WhatsApp, it's going to have a significant play in the world of commerce. There is no denial about it. But the commerce also is, if you look at the kind of purchases, I'm just broadly categorizing them. There are habitual purchases, there are experience-led purchases, and there are specs-driven purchases. WhatsApp can probably play a very significant role in habitual purchases where you know what you're buying in its current avatar, unless WhatsApp changes its avatar, which I don't think will be the play, because that's one of the reasons why WhatsApp had such an adoption, because it's a very simple app to use. So there are many things at play here. All I can say right now is it's going to play a very significant role, and we will also be going with the trends of the industry to see where we need to play. As of now, our focus is to get that experience, get that kind of information for our consumers onto our platform so that we become that go-to destination for fashion.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the next question that we have. Before I do that, I don't know about you guys, but ever since I started shopping online later, but I have to say one thing that keeps me up at night, worried sometimes, especially, when you have data breaches. We just read about the Big Basket one, for example, recently. What if my account gets hacked? What if all my money goes? And I'll admit it's also because I live with a very paranoid father who brings up this conversation almost every other day for dinner. And with that, it's time for our next question. It is from the cybersecurity expert. This is Sachet Modi.
Hey guys, wishing all of you and your families a very, very happy and safe Diwali, both physically and virtually. The question I have both for Kunal and Amar is twofold. Number one, you guys have built massive internet businesses that almost every consumer internet entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur looks up to. However, as Tim Cook says, that with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility of making sure that your platform is secure. How do you ensure, or how are you ensuring that anybody who comes to shop on your platform or pay their credit card bills, their data is really secured and they don't have anything to worry about? The second question I have for you is, why the hell are you guys not using us to do your cybersecurity and your cyber defenses? Those are the two questions I would love to get an answer from you guys. Again, a very, very happy Diwali to both of you and to everybody hearing this.
I'll take
You don't have to answer an ET now why he's not your cybersecurity expert. But Kunal, this is something that we all have to worry about, right? It's happened to pharmaceutical majors. It's happening on Startup Street as well. Security, it's a big issue, and a lot of us don't talk about it often enough.
No, I think it's a very important question to talk about, right? When you are dealing with any matter of money, right, the responsibility is 100% to make sure that every single customer data and money is 100% secure, right? Fortunately for payment companies, because of the regulation and the way the system is designed, there are many checks and balances. For example, we have to be PCI compliant, we have to be ISO 27001, we are audited by many entities, banks who work with us, and so on and so forth, which keeps us kind of always ahead on some of those things. But we are living in a world where constantly things can change and bad things can happen. The only thing that you can do is create immense amount of guardrails to kind of protect all of that. We have 100% data protection policy. As a rule, the company never gives out consumer data to any third party without explicit consent, and everything is kind of protected on the platform. In terms of payment data, we follow the UPI standard. UPI has an elaborate method to kind of onboard partners to work with, and if you're especially a payment partner for them, we have kind of been very fortunate to be getting all the guidance as a young company from every single thing, getting to scale early on. Fortunately, because of free charge experience, it was not that I'm a new entrepreneur in this space. Running up, in free charge, we had zero incidents of any breach, any privacy issues, and I think we continued that good culture of investing heavily. And when I say invest heavily, it is not just in team, but all the processes, all the systems to kind of ensure that, because we will not be in business if we cannot guarantee safety for the users' data and their money.
Okay, the next question. Now, he's in the business of trying to get people to go out and eat at restaurants. He also launched India's first luxury hotel chain, in almost 20 years, but of course has come COVID-19. It's really something that he's still got a smile on his face. This is Kapil Chopra, the founder of Easy Diner, and Postcard with his question for both of you.
The question I wanted to ask both of you was, how can startups in India really focus on building global companies? And when I say global companies, I mean institutions. How can startups in India aspire to build institutions and not build companies which are very great to be acquired by your global institutions? I think that is the paradigm change that all of us would love to see from India. And how do you think venture capitalists can aid this mindset instead of just helping startups raise the next round and the valuation going up and then exiting the company? How can venture capitalists and startups actually come together to create global institutions out of India? And that's the question that I have for both of you this Diwali.
I think this question will be more appropriate for Kunal, because if you're going to build a startup, how do you build it into being an institution? And is that something the venture capitalists understand, or is it still about, from round to round, just funding the short-term to medium-term growth story, Kunal? The change in mindset that is actually needed.
In terms of institutions to be created, I think it will be built on focus on brand, focus on trust, focus on creating a superior offering and understanding of consumer that may be something that we will all have to evolve to.
Yeah.
So far, many business models were just copy-paste of Western models. But if you see businesses today, you see games on Flipkart, which was not something that you can ever learn from the Western model. It may start from saying how commerce starts and you do add to cart and check out, all of that is fine. But today, that company is completely different. And I think soon we will all evolve to create more long-term thinking around what do we need to really do to keep the consumer happy and engaged and trusting us with more services that we may offer. And that will come with a mindset of thinking long-term. I think one request I would have for the ecosystem is that be patient. Be patient with your founders, be patient with your CEOs and startup guys, because it's not easy doing this job. And this constant spotlight, constant criticism, constant questions, like, oh, you are 2-year-old, how come you have not figured out revenue? But nobody's ever questioned WhatsApp for 10, 15 years of existence with no revenue. And we all get scrutinized way too much because fortunately we are slightly more accessible than some of the bigger companies. And I think that is something that we expect back, that support your local founders, support your local CEOs, and they are out there to build something that will last forever.
Okay, that's something to really think about. Forget the Me Too models, build for India and build for the world as well, because that's when you're really going to see the phenomenal growth, isn't it? Kunal and Amar, I don't know what you guys are doing at 15. I would imagine you would have already done something really special to be where you are today. But I've got two 15-year-old kids who had questions for you. And I was just blown away at how not just knowledgeable these kids are, but just what they want to know. They're not even sweet 16 as yet. So my next question for you is from this 15-year-old girl who's already got a startup.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kothari. I am 15 years old. I am the co-founder and CFO of YQ. So I have two questions. So hello, Kunal sir. You have founded FreeCharge and now Cred. So my question is, what are the areas do you feel have great potential in the fintech space in the next 2 to 3 years? We have seen wallets. So what do you think? What is next? Second of all, for an early stage startup in the fintech space that has little traction, what is the revenue cost breakup ratio that an angel investor looks for? So these are my questions. Thank you.
I wish I was. I wish I was remotely.
I'm telling you, I was so overwhelmed when I saw this question.
I wish I was remotely as smart as the kid over here when I was 15. But I'm going to take a stab at his question. First, I think the next thing for fintech is not about the label of wallet or UPI, but seamless access to credit, seamless ways to kind of maintain good financial health. is going to be the big thing. And every society that has prospered have solved these two things. Create seamless access to credit, because without credit, expecting growth is harder to imagine. That's number one. Number two, in terms of revenue to cost breakup, I would say the best angel investors do not ask these questions. So do not waste time with people who are asking these stupid questions to you. The best angel investors are the ones who can imagine a very, very large company with you. And if they can, they will not care about what your metrics are today. They should see right people, right insight on which you are building, and right early data. If they are asking you revenue, cost, breakup, and all of that stuff right now, maybe they are not angel investors, and you should probably skip them.
Okay, with that, I'd like to thank both Amar and Kunal for joining us on this very special edition of Startup Central. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for taking all the questions that have been coming in. And here's wishing you and your families a very happy and prosperous and healthy Diwali.
Thank you.
Happy Diwali to you as well.
Happy Diwali.
Very, very happy and warm Diwali from the team of Startup Central and ET Now. To all the viewers, keep watching us and stay healthy and stay fit this Diwali.
Happy Diwali everyone from the HUC team. This Diwali, stay home, stay safe, enjoy a lot of homemade sweets and play your card games online.
That's my biggest lockdown lesson. Never miss an exercise. Whether you're in a sari or in your workout gear, just get it done. You live only once, live it well, live it healthy. Here's wishing you all a very happy, prosperous, healthy Diwali from the entire Raya household, including my babies, Waffle and Bogie.
दिवाली की खूब सारी शुभकामनाएं. Wish you a very, very safe Diwali.